Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sports Corner at Choose Adventure Media. My name is Zach, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down Day 2 of the 2025 NFL Draft. Alright, let's get into it. First things first, I just want to hit it right on the head. Shedeur Sanders has not yet been drafted at the end of 3 rounds of the NFL Draft, and here's my elevator pitch as to why he has not yet been drafted. Number 1, he has average arm strength. Not great, not horrible. He's incredibly accurate, and he's one of the fastest processors in this class, but his arm strength is just average, so I think a lot of teams, particularly up north, are a little worried about how he'll play there in December and January. Number 2, he interviewed incredibly bad. And I don't say that lightly. From what I'm hearing, he went into a lot of the interviews unprepared, and also his entire camp was kind of giving off the vibe that he would have his pick of the litter and would be able to decide where he goes. One very specific example I have heard is Brian Daboll, the head coach of the Giants, was interviewing Shedeur, and he was unprepared, and Brian Daboll called him out on that, and Shedeur did not handle that well, and I think that's why the New York Giants and Shedeur Sanders relationship devolved. I have personally never seen a free fall like this, but Shedeur Sanders has not yet been drafted because he has average arm strength and because of his incredibly bad interviews. All right, now in terms of some of my favorite picks, let's get started with pick number 33, Carson Schwarzenegger to the Cleveland Browns, linebacker out of UCLA. And this is a great pick. I love it because Carson Schwarzenegger started his career as a walk-on. He was not a scholarship player at UCLA, and he has just absolutely grinded to become the player that he is. And this past year, he won the Butkus Award for the best linebacker in college football. Who doesn't love that story? And in terms of scouting, he's got incredible instincts. He covers a ton of ground, and Todd McShay said he has instincts like no other in this class. And obviously, he's not saying that lightly. Love this pick for the Browns, and I love the story too. Pick number 34, Jaden Higgins, Iowa State receiver to the Houston Texans. Absolutely love this pick by the Houston Texans. Jaden Higgins is one of my draft crushes. I absolutely love him as a wide receiver. He's big, he's physical, he's fast. He's 6'4", and he ran a 4'4", 6'4", 214 pounds, and he ran a 4.47 40-yard dash. He also is incredible at making contested catches. Really, the only knock against him is he kind of has a bad habit of catching the ball with his body versus his hands. But whenever he does catch the ball with his hands, he makes some spectacular catches. So I don't think it's a thing of ability. I think it's just a bad habit that will absolutely be coached out of him in the NFL. I love this pairing with CJ Stroud. I love the fact that they traded back and still got a great wide receiver. I think he's absolutely a first-round talent, and I think he's going to be great in Houston. I also loved pick number 38. The New England Patriots drafted TreVeyon Henderson, running back out of Ohio State. I love this pick because it is something like we haven't seen out of New England in so long in terms of actually having speed. He's one of the most explosive running backs in this class, and while Quinshon Judkins, his teammate at Ohio State, may have been slightly better in terms of accelerating from a standing stop position, TreVeyon Henderson is a one-cut back, meaning he'll make one cut and then accelerate, and it's all smooth. There's no jittery, there's no start-stop. It's just very smooth, and he accelerates faster than anyone in the class in that regard. He's incredibly explosive, and this is just something that we haven't seen in New England in my lifetime. So I absolutely love getting Drake May an explosive weapon like TreVeyon Henderson. He's certainly in that Jahmyr Gibbs role in terms of he's not just going to be a running back that you hand the ball to. He's an amazing wide receiver with great hands, and I can't wait to see how Drake May utilizes this new weapon that he has. I also loved pick number 39. The Chicago Bears drafted Luther Burden III, and the free fall of Luther Burden stops at 39 to Chicago. Luther Burden on the field, amazing. A lot of people are going to say that his production dropped off in 2024, and while statistically, yes, it did. However, the quarterback play at Missouri between 2023 and 2024, vastly different. Look, Luther Burden, perfect NFL comparison to Deebo Samuel, and we've all seen just how dangerous Deebo Samuel can be. He's incredibly versatile, he has great ball skills, and he's a yards after catch merchant. Not only that, but he actually separates better than Deebo Samuel does because he's got more quickness and he's got more burst. And while he wasn't asked to run a ton of complex routes or a ton of different routes at Missouri, his route tree will need to be expanded. However, he shows the ability to be able to separate that Deebo Samuel has been struggling with. The reason why he dropped is he was given this tag of being a diva. And then his other really only knocks is he may only be a slot wide receiver in the NFL, but he's such a versatile weapon. I think that would negate any just a slot receiver label. And I think some of the off the field attitude issues, one of the biggest contributors is that he grew up in the Columbia, Missouri area. Then he went to school in Missouri. So I think he's had a lot of distractions. And I think moving to Chicago, obviously not that far, I think that'll really help. And I think it'll get rid of those distractions. So I don't think the diva thing will be a problem for Luther Burden. I absolutely love going to the Chicago Bears and the offense that they're building. I think it's a great fit and I love the pick. All right. Pick number 40, Tyler Shough, quarterback out of Louisville to the New Orleans Saints. Tyler Shough is such an interesting story. So he was originally in Trevor Lawrence's class coming out of high school. He was at Elite 11 with Trevor Lawrence. Then he goes to Oregon, is the backup for Justin Herbert at Oregon, gets injured, and then there's a coaching change. Mario Cristobal goes to Miami. He goes to Texas Tech, has a hard time getting on the field there, then ends up at Louisville. I absolutely love this pick. Biggest knocks against Tyler Shough is his age. He's 25. He'll be 26 at the start of this NFL season, which isn't great. And also he has some durability concerns. But if you put on his tape, his ball placement is elite. He's incredibly mobile. I love his ball placement. He obviously has great size. He's 6'5", 250, and he's incredibly mature. And I think that's something that is a really underrated trait in an NFL quarterback. So as long as he can stay healthy and as long as he's on the field, I think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback. And don't be surprised if he's starting day one in New Orleans. Absolutely love the fit. I think Kellen Moore is going to do a lot with Tyler Shough. And as long as he stays healthy, I think he'll be a great NFL quarterback. Pick number 47, the Arizona Cardinals also stopped the free fall of Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. Let me make one thing very, very clear. Health issues aside, Will Johnson is the best corner in this class outside of Travis Hunter. However, he's a very specific type of cornerback. I think a lot of people, whenever they talk about elite corners, they think about something like Darrelle Revis or Sauce Gardner, both New York Jets. But just in terms of throw them out on an island, out to the boundary, and just let them go man-to-man, back to the quarterback, and just go to work. He is absolutely not that type of cornerback. However, in the right system, he's an incredible off-the-ball cornerback, meaning he's great in zone. And the reason that he fell was not a skill issue. It was just an injury concern and also some concerns about speed. Is he missed half the season this year, but he was still an All-American. Let me say that again. He missed half the season and he was still an All-American. He's a great cornerback. And as long as, again, he can stay healthy. He suffered from turf toe this year. There's also a knee issue. And also some people were worried about his speed. Some people think his 40 time would have been in the 4.5, 4.6 range. But he's got great size and he's a great cornerback with great instincts. And you can't teach instincts. All right, next up is pick number 49. The Cincinnati Bengals draft Demetrius Knight Jr., linebacker out of South Carolina. This is also just a phenomenal story. So Demetrius Knight Jr. was a 4-year starter in high school at quarterback. Not a linebacker, quarterback. He goes to Georgia Tech. He's there for 4 years, hardly sees the field, but he is a 3-time All-ACC academic team. He's incredibly smart. At Georgia Tech, are you kidding me? Incredibly bright. So after 4 years, he goes to Charlotte. His first year being a full-time starter, all conference at Charlotte. Then, you know who notices this? Shane Beamer at South Carolina. He goes to South Carolina and he's on campus for a few weeks, and South Carolina makes him a team captain. He's a great guy to have in your locker room. He's incredibly smart and he is violent. He knows how to lay the boom, and that's just a perfect trilogy of traits. And I think he's going to do great in Cincinnati. I love this fit. Cincinnati absolutely needed a guy like this, and I can't wait to see what Demetrius Knight does in Cincinnati. All right, I feel like I'm a broken record here, but at pick number 53, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers draft Ben Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame. A couple of years ago, he was absolutely hands down the best cornerback in the country. And again, like a lot of guys in this draft class, he has fallen because of injury concerns. Whenever he's healthy, he's an elite cornerback, and he is that lockdown, Darrelle Revis, Sauce Gardner, man-to-man, I'm going to shut down your best receiver type cornerback. He probably earns one of my favorite traits that I've heard NFL scouts give him, and they have called him a spider monkey, because whenever he's healthy, he's all over the wide receiver, hanging out right in that hip pocket, just stuck to them like glue. So as long as he's healthy, I think they have a great cornerback on their hands in Tampa. One of the guys that I didn't think was getting enough attention going into the draft was Tre Harris, who ended up going number 55 overall to the LA Chargers. Absolutely love this fit, and I just love Tre Harris as a player. So fun fact, in high school, he was the high school quarterback for Malik Nabers. So he was throwing touchdown passes to Malik Nabers while they were still in high school in Louisiana, which I think is a phenomenal story. But Tre Harris as a wide receiver is a great wide receiver. He missed a lot of this past year with some injuries. And I think he missed like 2 or 3 games and was still leading the SEC in receiving yards. Talk about explosive. He's the definition. He averaged over 5 yards per route run for the season, and the next closest in this draft class was Jalen Royal at 3. So he had more than 2 yards more than in terms of yards per route run than any other wide receiver in this class. Like I said, incredibly explosive. He's a big body receiver. He's a great red zone threat. Whenever he was out, Ole Miss definitely missed his abilities in the red zone. He averaged 17.2 yards per reception, which is just insane. And I've heard a lot of people say that he would have been a great DK Metcalf replacement in Seattle. So absolutely love this fit for the Chargers. And another thing is he runs after the catch with authority. So he's a red zone threat, yards after catch threat. Absolutely love this pickup by the Chargers. And I think Justin Herbert is going to do wonders with Tre Harris. Probably my favorite pick of the second round was Omar Norman-Lott going to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know Kansas City Chiefs, they're the villains. Nobody wants to see them do well. Absolutely love this fit. And I just love the player. I love Omar Norman-Lott. He is purely a pass rush specialist. Let me make that very clear. At this point in his career, he is at his best being an interior defensive lineman rushing the passer. He's got over the past 10 years, for defensive tackles, he's got the highest pass rush production, which is including pressure, sacks, of any defensive tackle. And that's including guys like Quinnen Williams and just some really other elite defensive tackles over the past decade. And Omar Norman-Lott is the best pass rusher out of any of them. Now, he needs some work in the run game. He, I believe, only had 14 stops at the defensive tackle position over 14 games. And obviously you want to see a lot more than that. And he only had, I believe, 18 tackles total, which isn't great. But how elite of a pass rusher he is, you take a chance on that, especially when you have Chris Jones, who can help mentor him and can help turn him into a better run defender. Absolutely love this pickup by the Chiefs and love the fit. All right, next up, the Seattle Seahawks drafted Jalen Milroe in the 3rd round. I think it was really cool. So Sean Alexander called Jalen Milroe his nephew, and I guess that they are an uncle-nephew duo. I think it's really cool. They both went to Alabama. I think it's cool now that they'll both be playing for the Seattle Seahawks. I love this pick by the Seattle Seahawks. John Schneider, one of the best GMs in all of football. A lot of people are comparing what just happened with Jalen Milroe. They're going to draft him like the Seahawks drafted Russell Wilson back in the day, and they can stash him, and he doesn't have to play right away. But Jalen Milroe's so talented. Honestly, if you really wanted to, you could put him in some packages early in his rookie year. He's an elite runner. I heard a lot of people joking about you could throw him a pitch and put him at running back and he could score a touchdown in the NFL. Love this fit. I love Jalen Milroe. I think he's going to do great in Seattle, where he doesn't have to play right away. There's a couple of guys in front of him, so he can go sit on a bench, learn from some great guys for the next couple of years, and be a great NFL quarterback with his elite traits of an amazing deep ball, again, just like Russell Wilson, and his one of the best running threats we've seen at the quarterback position in a while. Then at pick number 94, the Cleveland Browns get their quarterback, But it's not Shedeur Sanders. It is Dillon Gabriel, the quarterback out of Oregon. I watched a lot of Dillon Gabriel this year. I love his game. Like Tyler Shugg, he's an older quarterback. I believe he's 24, 25. And his strengths are his accuracy in the short to medium range. He also is incredibly accurate with the deep ball. However, he needs a lot of room to be able to throw the deep ball. And sometimes in the NFL, you don't necessarily have that. So don't expect him to be able to be throwing deep balls all over the place like a Russell Wilson, like that. However, whenever he is throwing the deep ball, he is absolutely accurate. I also think his arm strength wasn't great. It was good to average, but that's not his game. His game is more of the point guard distribution role, and it's no mistake that you are tied for the most touchdowns by any quarterback in FBS history, and also the second most passing yards in FBS history. He's incredibly talented. I love the maturity that he's bringing, and I think he's going to be great in Cleveland. Love his fit in the Kevin Stefanski system, and if they can get a couple other weapons around him, I think that's going to be great. And him handing off to Quinshon Judkins, absolutely love the fit, and I think Dillon Gabriel is going to be great in Cleveland. All right, so that is all I have for rounds 2 and 3 of the 2025 NFL Draft. What were some of your favorite picks, and what were some of your favorite stories? That's always what I love about the NFL Draft, are the stories. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so you don't miss any deep dives. My name is Zach. This is the Sports Corner at Choose Adventure Media, and I'll see you next time.